Destructive fires in the Brazilian Amazon have become an all too familiar storyline.
Isso, e aí o fogo agora está fora de controle, né? Não que a natureza, mas olha a natureza, o que a gente está virando com a natureza, né?
E aqui a gente vai fazer o registro fotográfico comprovando o crime ambiental. Desmatamento, sem autorização do órgão ambiental competente e uso do fogo.
And right now, the destruction is at a 10-year high. Last year, approximately 10,000 square kilometers of Brazilian rainforest were eliminated because of fires. That's one Lebanon, or one Connecticut. And in 2020, that number is expected to rise by 1/3. Since fires are used to clear land after trees have been felled, they are a really good indicator as to where and at what rate the Amazon is shrinking. And contrary to President Bolsonaro's assertions,
os incêndios acontecem praticamente nos mesmos lugares, no entorno leste da floresta, onde o caboclo e o índio queimam seus roçados em busca de sua sobrevivência, em áreas já desmatadas.
These fires are not just small agriculture fires, they are actually deforestation fires, which are very often intentionally set illegal and the responsibility of a select few.
Indeed, we have found that only 2% of farmers in Brazil are responsible for more than 62% of all illegal deforestation taking place inside private properties.
The impact this destruction has for the climate is enormous. Roughly 1 gigaton of CO2 equivalent emissions in 2019 were due to deforestation in the Amazon alone. Compare that to Germany, Iran and Japan. Amazon deforestation emissions give off the equivalent of entire countries. To understand why deforestation is such a problem in Brazil, we have to talk money.
Forest is worth only a fifth of what cleared land is in the land market. So if you're thinking in terms of, leaving your farm for your children and their children, if it's got a lot of forest on it, it's worth a lot less money.
In 7 out of 10 cases, deforested land will be used for cattle. A flourishing business, since Brazil is not only the world's top exporter of beef, but of the 10 million tons of beef that Brazil produced in 2019, around 8 million tons were consumed domestically. To put that into perspective, the average Brazilian eats around 25 kilo of beef every year. That's the equivalent of 20 hamburgers a month, making them one of the top beef eaters in the world. So, do Brazilians simply not care about the Amazon? Officially, Brazil has very ambitious laws to protect the Amazon. 80% of private property in the Amazon has to be kept as forest reserve, according to their forest code. Brazil's biggest problem is law enforcement, or rather, the lack of it.
I think there's a tendency to assume that all farmers are just illegal, and they want to be. But I think it's really important to look at this and say, wow, what Brazil is trying to do is pretty amazing, unprecedented. They need help implementing the Forest Code, which is the most ambitious private land forest conservation law anywhere in the world.
But that help isn't coming from the Bolsonaro administration. Quite the contrary. The spending on forest inspection has shrunk to 1/3 of its previous budget. And environmental fines handed out have been in decline since Bolsonaro took office.
We have a situation where the forest rangers who are doing a good job, who are going to the field and are basically fighting for illegal deforestation, rather than being promoted, they are being fired. They are being demoted, sent to other places, taken out of their roles as forest rangers.
How effective strong law enforcement can be is evident in Brazil's past. The country had its lowest deforestation rates between 2010 and 2012.
What happened is it was all stick and no carrot. there were really no positive incentives for the people who were complying with the law, and that's still the case today.
And this probably won't change as long as Bolsonaro is president, at least not on a domestic level. The Amazon plays a crucial role in our world climate, so protecting it should be a global initiative. And yet almost 1/5 of the beef exports from Brazil to the EU, for instance, are the product of deforestation. But experts say a boycott would not solve the problem, only push it somewhere else. However, incentivizing farmers to keep more of their land as forest shows a lot of promise.
It's 2020 and it still doesn't pay to conserve forests if you're a farmer in the Amazon, and we can change that.
Experts suggest result-based reward programs that bypass the federal government altogether, whereby individual countries, NGOs or the EU could bring that money directly to farmers who are making an effort to reduce deforestation. Brazilians, and to a smaller amount all of us, could also reduce their beef consumption, supplementing it with other sources of protein.
Some of the best recipes in the world are native Amazon fish, and I think resuscitating and building on those, expanding fish production to fish farming, to aquaculture, would be a wonderful way of diversifying the income of cattle ranchers, of indigenous people, as we shift the protein source back to what it was in the Amazon, and then Brazil, and then regionally and globally.
The Amazon is not yet lost, but scientists fear that once 20% of the Amazon is destroyed, it won't recover and go into a process of savannization. We are currently at about 18% destruction. The clock is ticking.